I'm back with another one, guys. Thanks for tuning in to The Undeserved Flavor. Let's go for a little ride and have a talk. So, modern pop Christian churches are a good thing, but, well, that's a good name for the video. Let's dive right in. So, my family and I attend a church nearby where we live, and it's one of those modern pop Christian churches. I don't know what particular, I mean, we've been attending this church for a few years now, well, at least 2.5, and it's a pop Christian church. You know what I mean? Like, it's not uber charismatic. It's not God TV or Bethel, but not Bethel. Yeah, Bethel. It's not like, I guess they're trying to be, they're kind of like a cross between the Southern Baptist Church, the Bible Belt Baptist Church with Bethel or Hillsong. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that. So they're not overly charismatic. Like, they're not Protestant. They're not Pentecostal. People aren't hooting and hollering in tongues. But anyway, they're almost liturgical in how structured their services are. But they're very loose, laid back, and youth-focused, pop culture-focused. Geared very much toward, the latest fashion trends and upper middle class socioeconomic, system. They're trying to get the youth of today while keeping the aged Christian that just wants a really comfortable chair to sit in on Sunday because they pay the bills. So the church we go to, so not all of them are great. I will tell you that. I have a lot I could say negative about a lot of churches. And now, that's my opinion. When I'm being critical of a church, it's not it's not like I'm saying, oh, they're out raping kids, Forgive me if I'm a little over the top there. But what I'm saying is, like, we constantly get caught in arguing about, the rights and the wrongs of modern churches. So, well, here we are. Here I am, a Christian Universalist. I've been one of these for the better part of the last half a dozen years, maybe 6 or 7 years. And so why the heck am I going to a pop non-denominational church? Well, because philosophically, maybe that's not so. Fundamentally, we don't see eye to eye on, the tenets of our quote unquote religious views. Theologically, we don't see eye to eye. They wouldn't come to my church if I was leading a church, but I'd go to their church. So we disagree on some fundamentals, but philosophically, we agree enough where I can bring my family there because it's a healthy environment. And it's not just a healthy environment, they're actually doing a good thing in the community. And one day they may or may not eventually see things the way I see things. But you know what? I haven't taken it upon myself to stir the pot in this church. I haven't felt called to that. I've spoken about the way I see things to almost nobody. There's literally one person in 2.5 years that maybe two people that I've openly and blatantly shared my views with. The fact that I'm a Christian Universalist, hell is a myth, and why do I think that? Because I don't feel the necessity to do that in this place. Because it's a very healthy, wholesome environment. And I have kids, and we live in a state where we don't have any family. So, because we moved across the country, we were at over a dozen churches before we landed on this one, and it was challenging because we went to a church after church after church, and I just, I would meet with the pastor, we'd sit down, we'd meet in a room in the church, or we'd go to Panera Bread and sit down and talk, and and it's like, after that meeting, it's like, why are we here? This is like a waste of time. We're not going to be able to root down and become family with these people. I'm not gonna go to church because I'm just guilt driven to attend a Sunday service because the Bible says, do not forsake the gathering of the brethren or the meeting of the brethren, whatever. That's not why we go to church. We don't go to church because of that guilt driven, you need to gather with other fellow Christians. That's not why we go. We go because that's where we can socialize and have like I said, we have 4 kids. We don't have family in this state. We don't have community here. We're not going to just sit in the 4 walls of our house and be an island unto ourselves. And we're also not going to try and build familial relationships with people that we absolutely and fundamentally don't see eye to eye on from a worldview standpoint. No judgment to anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, we'll meet friends through our kids' soccer programs, or whatever. Like, organic relationships will happen, and that's awesome. The problem is, a lot of those that have happened, neighbors we've met, people we've met through just simply living where we live, organically, however, maybe, like, we have different ideals. It's like, yeah, we can barbecue once in a while or something, or like we can hang out once in a while, but it's like, no, we're not going to send our kids over on a sleepover with a family whose 12-year-old is downloading porn. And the parents are like, slap of the wrist, oh, don't do that, Johnny, you know better, and then, it's like, no, the kid's freaking hooked now because, dad's off over there, thinking, he can, well, I'm not going to get into examples here. That's not the point. Like, I mean, so just to kind of backpedal on that a little bit, there are some very worldly, non-religious people that are actually great friends. They're good quality people, wholesome people. I'm not saying the only people we will hang out with are people that are Christians and in a church. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's one of the few ways that we're going to actually intentionally meet people, or effectively and efficiently meet people. You know what I mean? Short of like just walking down the street and playing Process of Elimination and say, hi, how are you doing? You want to be friends? Like, you don't know who you're going to come across. Or you can, like going to the beach, and you're not going to just randomly walk up to people and start meeting people. You can do that. But every intelligent person knows that's not how it works effectively and efficiently. It's like, but our church is a very wholesome place. They have great children's programs, classes. They're learning what I want them to learn, and that is the outlines of the stories of the Bible. I want them to have a good Christian knowledge base. We will and do have conversations wherein we correct them, on minor points such as, well, actually, hell is a myth. But see, the thing is, the nice thing about the church we go to, they'd probably be hit pretty hard by the Southern Baptist Convention because they really don't preach hell at all. Once in a while, you'll hear it come out. Pastor will preach a whole message. It'll be a tearjerker. It'll be encouraging. It'll be wisdom. It'll be good. I mean, honestly, I don't really go to this church for the sermon, even though, it can be refreshing to sit through a sermon and, and it's basically like an opportunity to just sit and like think for yourself for a little while without any interruptions. You know what I mean? Like you're allowed to daydream without interruption here. You know what I mean? Like when you got 4 kids, it's like, go sit through a church service. It's pretty peaceful. You don't have to listen. And the nice thing is, when you do listen, like, yeah, there's some good messaging. The nice thing about our quote unquote pop Christian church is it's not hyper biblical. They are biblical. Like he'll talk about, he'll take a scripture verse or a story within a passage within scripture and talk about it and build a message around it, for the Sunday. But it's not like, I don't know how to really get into it, explain it. It's not hyper biblical, or it's not hyper hell focused, or it's not hyper rapture focused, or they're very soft porn Christianity. Like I don't know what else to call it. Like they're very marshmallow. They're very milk toast. And I used to really critique this kind of Christianity when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, and I was a little firebrand, turn or burn Christian. Like this kind of Christianity was it just got on my nerves because they weren't getting serious. Everybody's just apathetic and like nobody takes it seriously, and it's just every Sunday people go and it's like freaking country club and donuts. But you know what? There's something ingenious behind the scenes, or just underneath the skin here, and that is it's a healthy place for all to hang out, young and old. It's nice that they're trying to be kind of like stay with the times, is like hip with the younger generation. So kids and youth and teenagers that come to this church aren't just freaking bored out of their skulls or made fun of for going to like a jean skirt freaking church. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's come as you are type of a church. I mean, we're definitely not, transgender, in every position on the boards and leadership and all that. We're not, definitely, the church isn't there yet. It's not that loose. We're Bible Belt here, So, but it is definitely like I said, it's like a cross between Southern Baptist and Bethel, California, or Hillsong. You know what I mean? Like it's a cross. So, all that said, what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, they're attracting the younger generation, but at the same time, it's a wholesome environment for the younger generation to be a part of. But at the same time, they're keeping the elderly, or at least the financially well-to-do, upper middle class, middle-aged people comfortable. They pay the bills. But hold the phone. What do you mean they pay the bills? And how is this not a bad thing? Why are you complimenting this system that you normally would pick apart and just absolutely tear a new one? Well, here's the thing. They're actually doing a lot of good things around the community and around the world. Now, in some contexts, the ends don't justify the means. You know what I mean? Like, you can't justify lying, cheating, and manipulating by saying, well, maybe this person's gonna turn out all the better for it. Like, I don't know, think of an example. But in this case, the ends, I think, justify the means. Number one, I think the preachers and the leadership of this organization actually believe what they're preaching. And they also believe in their purpose, their calling, what it is they're doing. I don't believe they're just gaming this system to look like a polished mega church, with multiple locations, with their, broadcast morning Sunday service on TVs. Like, they're not looking for popularity. I don't see this church as being one of those. Now, those are out there. But this church is They got jail ministries all over town. They have addiction recovery meetings multiple times a week at all of their locations. People are coming off the streets. I mean, like, pastors of this church, leadership of this church, are like jumping out of their bed at 3 a.m. to go help, someone sitting in a parking lot, getting high, contemplating suicide. You know what I mean? Like, they're actually, in a lot of ways, walking that Christian walk. What did Jesus essentially call us to do? To be other-centered and self-giving. That is the definition of love. Other-centered, self-giving. That is the cross. Other-centered, self-giving. So, I mean, it's beyond doing to others what you would want them to do to you. It's like you aren't even a part of the equation. Your focus is on everyone else. Forget about yourself. Let God take care of you. Doing the golden rule is what you teach elementary school kids, because they're so selfish. They need something to compare to, like they need to compare it to something in order to understand it. It's like, okay, well, what should we do to the others? Well, let's compare it to what we would like to do to ourselves. Oh, okay, I really would want $1 million, so maybe I'll give them, bad example, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, it is sunshine in here. I can't see in front of my window. See in front of me. Where was I going? Well, I'm going home because I forgot something. Modern pop Christian church is good, but, well, here's the thing. I stop short when we start talking theology, but here's the thing. I don't really need to worry about that at this church, because they're not ingraining turn or burn into the hearts and minds of everyone they're preaching at. It's not a turn or burn church. Their focus is on Jesus. It's on service. Now, to go into like a subtopic of this, money, giving. I personally feel absolutely zero obligation to give money to a church. So why am I here, not complimenting, but defending, I guess, defending the system in place where they're asking for money, this church, they definitely ask for money. They're not all about the money, but they definitely ask for money. They definitely have fundraisers. But that's the thing. What are they using it for? They're not just buying more comfortable seats or new sound equipment, which they do have. They're putting up orphanages in countries that are extremely poor. Like, legitimately, they're building schools in countries that need them, in very poor communities where they have absolutely no hope for upward mobility. Like I said before, they have jail ministries. Do you think they're passing an offering bucket around in the jail room, in the jail ministry on Sunday? Yeah. Right. Who's funding that? Yeah, obviously, yeah, the people that are going there, it's all volunteer and stuff, but like, people need to get paid for their time. One thing I'm telling you, I think is a big problem is the whole 501c3 thing. I think churches should pay taxes. They should get tax write-offs for where they invest their money, but they should pay taxes when they profit off of donations. Not more than regular businesses, but as much as regular businesses, because it is a business. Now, if a church is donating $1 million to build a school, they should get $1 million write-off. If they're employing a handful of people to go do prison ministry on Sundays, they should write off that payroll. If they're putting just whatever, you know what I mean? So it's working, you know what I mean? Like, they're doing good things. Back to the point. Pop Christian church is good. So here's the thing. The whole process of us waking up to Christian universalism is a work in progress. I'm not going to sit here and just tear the church a new one, or at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and just completely defend the church. But there are pros and cons, and where you go. I'm going to get more into this in the next one as I have more thoughts on it. But yeah, so the modern day pop church is good, but so ultimately at the end of the day, the point of this whole video was just me to just talk about where do I go to church? Do I go to church? Why do I go to that church? What I see as a problem? Well, I really don't see it any problems other than their slight theological problem of preaching hell. You know, they do altar calls, and they do believe if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to go to hell. But at the end of the day, they are very milquetoast. Like, they're not trying to scare anybody away. They want everybody. They say, "Come one, come all, come just as you are." Like they'll have. There's people that they've brought up on stage. You know, this Buddhist family. They come here for 2 years before accepting Christ because they were new in town and they were just looking for a healthy environment. A freaking Buddhist family, non-Christian family, coming to this church on a Sunday by Sunday after Sunday, religiously, but not for the religion. Why are they coming to this church? They're coming because it's a peaceful place to go, and it's a very wholesome, healthy community of good people, of all kinds of people. You know, they're not afraid to have former crackheads in the front row next to millionaires, all getting along, all equal. It's like, it's a good place, and I'm not sitting here, I'm not advertising for this church, so I'm not going to tell you what church it is. There's a lot of churches around here. I will tell you what, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I have gone to some churches around here that I would call out in a heartbeat, and I will name names if I feel so led, that are literally just in it for the money, and or they're just in it for the popularity or whatever, and it's just like, why are you guys even doing this? Wasting your time. One day you're just going to get called out and it's going to end up going down in flames. You're probably going to end up in a divorce. Why are you even doing this? Like, go into a different line of work. Go sell cars or something. You know, and then there's some churches that are like very much cult-like. All they do is preach 10 steps to avoid the rapture or to not miss out on the rapture, you know, every Sunday. It's like, I don't know. Pick your poison, but anyway, we'll get into it in more detail a little later on. Thanks for watching. Taste and see the Lord is good.